What is up, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Jericholic8704, here to give you another installment. Yes, another installment of Raw's Jericholic8704. I know you guys have been waiting in anticipation for a week, a whole week, I know, but it is here. Raw, May 17th, 2004, live from San Diego, California. Now, I have to note, before we get started into the review, as you all know, at least last year in the Raw reviews, after their little like signature thing, like WWE always has its signature thing before they start the show. The GM pictures would flash, and it would be Austin, or it would be Bischoff first. People would be like, "Boo!" and then Austin would show up. People would be like, "Yeah!" So that was always fun to do. But now it's just Bischoff because he's just the lone GM, but he's also with Johnny Nitro, and their picture is hilarious. It looks like a father-son picture, like one of those crappy father-son pictures that you take when you like go to the mall and there's like the picture people store. It's one of those like stupid like weird photos, but it never ceased to make me laugh. I thought it was hilarious. So we open up with Lita and Trish Stratus. Now, obviously, this Lita and Trish, the best women on the roster, definitely. Maybe behind, wrestlers like Gail Kim and Victoria, but they weren't really in, highlighted feuds. Lita and Trish was really the only women's feud going, but they opened the show, and this was a little play off their thing from last week where Trish Stratus kind of triggered Lita and scared her, and made it seem like, oh my God, there's Kane, and Lita obviously freaked out and everything, so because of that, we have this match. Now, because of the, emotion behind the match, you'd think this would be fast-paced, but it really wasn't. I thought Lita didn't really look good in this match at all. She she was really clunky, she kind of just, stumbled around the ring. Trish Stratus kind of carried it, to be honest. Once Lita got her comeback, like, Trish kind of, just did the heat a little bit. But once Lita kind of did her comeback and everything, and she started hitting like the snap suplex and the leg sweep, fans got into it, and Lita kind of got rolling a little bit. But for the early part of the match, Lita was really, really sloppy. But eventually, Lita gets her comeback. She hits a twist of fate, and then Kane shows up on the Tron, and he calls Lita's name, and then Trish gets a roll up for the win. I give the match like 1.5 stars. It got pretty good near the end, but the first part of the match was not good at all. And then after the match, Kane's on the Tron. He says he wants an answer tonight. So, that looks like trouble. Then we had a Randy Orton promo. This got really ridiculous really fast. So Orton comes out and he's like, I love to talk about myself. I'm the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in the last 7 years, which, might I add, I really feel like when you say, like, I've been the longest, blah, 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 in the past, like, X amount of years, it kind of devalues your reign. You know what I mean? Because it's like, okay, well, sure, in the last 7 years, you've been the longest Intercontinental Champion, but what about 8 years? Who was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion before Randy Orton at this point? You know what I mean? It just kind of like, I get it, like he had a really long title reign and his Intercontinental Championship reign was really, really good, but it seems completely unnecessary to kind of bring up that last 7. I feel like if he just said, like, I've held this Intercontinental Championship for months and I've defeated all my challengers because I am that damn good, I feel like that would be more effective than saying, I'm the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion for the past 7 years. You know what I mean? It just kind of sounds really contrived and really just like, no one would brag about something like that if they knew that there was, like, I would never brag about about a certain award if I knew there was someone better than me. You know what I mean? It just, and maybe that's just me, and maybe that's what makes him a heel. Like, he's delusional. He thinks he's the best, even though there is someone who's held the Intercontinental title longer than him. But whatever. So and then he says he'll be the Tag Team Champions tonight with Batista because one of the main events, aside from the Battle Royal, was Randy Orton and Batista versus Edge and Chris Benoit for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Orton says it's not about him, it's about Evolution, and he says tonight in the Battle Royal, Evolution will be the final 4, and we'll make sure that Triple H gets the WWE Championship shot against Benoit. And then he said there's no stopping Evolution. Ironically, Shelton Benjamin came out debuting his new theme song, Ain't No Stopping Me Now, or at least it wasn't I don't think it was the debut, but I think he got it recently because he just had like, generic rock theme number 5 for, his first couple months on Raw. So, obviously, this is Shelton Benjamin's first big push. So, there's going to be some bumps along the road. And he got on the mic and, God, this segment just kind of died. Because Orton was doing pretty well. I mean, Orton is a very good talker. And he's a lot better than Shelton Benjamin on the mic. So, and Orton was just doing the generic, cocky, young Randy Orton promo. But it was working. Shelton Benjamin came out and he basically just repeated everything Orton said. He was like, so let me get this straight. you're the longest reigning, blah, blah, blah. Let me get this straight. It's not about you. It's about evolution. Let me get this straight. You think evolution, like he just kind of repeated everything Orton said. So I'm like looking at my watch, like, okay, when is this over? Benjamin was stumbling over his words. I swear he said he was going to go to Bad Blood to beat Trish Benoit for the World Heavyweight Championship. Like he was really struggling. So Orton says Benjamin is no match for him. Shelton Benjamin challenges Orton to an Intercontinental Championship match, and Orton says, that's the problem with you people. You give an inch and you take a mile. And I was like, what? Like, this completely took me off guard. I was appalled. I was like, what? Where did the racism come from? Like, I felt like this was so out of left field. This didn't even get any heat on Orton. Like, I mean, like, when he said, like, that's the problem with you people were like, oh, but I don't think it was like, boo, Randy Orton. It was like, why the fuck would you say that? You know what I mean? It just was completely unnecessary. If I were in Shelton Benjamin's shoes, if someone insulted me like that, I would have beat the shit out of him. So Benjamin begins to talk, and then he just starts beating the hell out of Randy Orton. He just kind of, fakes him out with the talking and just goes right for the kill. He comes out, he's attacking him. Orton's on the defensive. Flair comes out, he yanks Orton out of the ring and saves him. So we have a backstage segment, Evolution. They're basically hyping each other's matches up tonight. Orton's like, yeah, I'm good, don't worry, I hate that Shelton Benjamin. And then Triple H is like, it's about Evolution, and you're looking at the one guy who's going to be the World Heavyweight Championship #1 contender. They all pat each other on the back. They're all really happy. Then we have another backstage segment with Eugene and William Regal. Eugene grabs William Regal's nose. That was the highlight of the show, honestly. Bischoff shows up and he congratulates Eugene, and then Bischoff and Regal talk and leave Eugene in the background. Meanwhile, while Eric Bischoff and William Regal are talking, they really didn't say anything important, because what you're supposed to be watching is Eugene playing with all the little, like, the brooms and the mops and all the other supplies that are backstage. It was just a pointless segment. Then we had Kane and Val Venis. So this is a rematch. This is an epic grudge match from when Kane destroyed Val Venis backstage. So Val charges Kane and he starts punching him. Kane blocks a leg sweep. Kane goes for an elbow and he misses. So I was like, oh, this is actually a pretty 50-50 match. I'm surprised at that. And then as soon as I said that, Kane hits the biggest big boot of all time. Val Venis, like, dies, and then Kane chokeslams him for the win. And then after the match, Matt Hardy attacks Kane behind his back. It wasn't like he came out, looked at him face to face, and then attacked him. Matt Hardy just invades the ring. He grabs a chair, and this is what made Matt Hardy, and they always made Matt Hardy look like such a total tool, at least when he was on Raw. When he was on SmackDown, he was doing the Mattitude thing. They were booking him pretty well, but whenever he was a babyface on Raw, they always made him out to be the biggest loser on planet Earth. So what happened was he grabbed this chair and then he hit Kane a few times, and then he was like about to hit him and then he hesitated, and I think that was him saying, oh shit, I have to be in the ring. So he slides back into the ring and he charges Kane, and then Kane boots him. Kane just beats him up some more. He puts him in the tree of woe and chokes him with some wires, and then he puts the chair around his neck and stomps on it to choke the life out of Matt Hardy. This happens for a while, and then Lita, this is something else that pissed me off about this segment. Lita runs out. She's on the mic. She's like, stop, please, please stop. Oh my God, stop. And then she gets in the ring. She's like, Kane, the answer is yes. Now here's the thing. Here's what I would do. First off, Lita took a mighty, mighty long time coming to the aid of Matt Hardy. Kane was choking on this man's throat for what seemed like an eternity, and she comes out running, telling Kane to stop. She's yelling at the top of her lungs, stop, stop, stop. And it's like, this is Kane we're talking about. You think telling him to stop is really going to make him stop? If Lita's final intent was to say yes to Kane, shouldn't she have just, like, with the microphone, just shouted Kane? And that was the other thing. Why is she coming out with a microphone? Like, you'd think she would just run, because she's so concerned about her boyfriend. She would just run out of the dressing room, not even worry about grabbing a microphone, unless someone was in gorilla position and handing the microphone off to her as if it were like a football and she was a running back. I can believe that, but I highly doubt, like, these are the things I think about, and these are one of those things where you just kind of have to take a step back, take a deep breath, and realize that not everything makes sense in wrestling, but these were things that just bothered me. So Kane gets up, he stops choking Matt Hardy, and then he picks up Lita and kind of gropes her and hugs her from behind, and this was really creepy. And I never really talked about this storyline really quick and why I hate it. But if you have a functioning brain, you'll understand why anyone would hate this storyline. Basically, the Raw before I started reviewing these Raws, Kane essentially raped Lita. And Obviously, Kane's a heel because a rapist should be a heel. Now, granted, rape it should not be a subject of storyline in WWE, especially like a serious one like this. And I don't know, it's just completely gross and everything, and just it's really kind of just weird watching it all, and it really doesn't sell any tickets. Like I guarantee you, no one was watching Raw to tune in to the Matt Hardy, Kane, Lita rape angle. The thing about it though is, and we'll see it. I don't know if we'll see it in the summer of '04, but eventually Kane kind of turns face out of all this. So it's like Kane, the good guy rapist. Like it's really stupid. It's a really bad storyline, and I'm not looking forward to the next couple of weeks because eventually we're going to find out that Lita's pregnant, and then it's Kane's baby and all that, and then it's just not going to be a fun time. Then we have the World Tag Team Championship match, Edge and Benoit versus Batista and Randy Orton. So Edge and Orton start, they go back and forth. They tag in Benoit, and Benoit comes in, and he just chops the hell out of Randy Orton. He destroyed Randy Orton. You could tell Randy Orton was in pain. He was just going at it. So Orton corners him, and he tags in Batista, who starts beating on Benoit some more. I was hoping that this match wouldn't be just one giant heat segment on Benoit, because that would make him look like a dork if Benoit is the one that has to get the hot tag to Edge. Fortunately, that's not what happened. So Edge and Orton, they are going at it some more after Benoit tags in Edge again. They throw out Batista, they throw out Orton. Edge and Benoit have the advantage. So they come back from commercial and they say that Edge had speared the ring post. They showed a replay. Edge had speared the ring post, and that's how Orton and Batista get the heat. At one point, the heat segment was kind of boring in this match. JR and King start talking about magazines, and JR notes that Edge is on the cover of Raw magazine and that Orton is on the cover of Baby Oil Weekly. That was a solid line. So Edge, as a comeback, hits the biggest catapult of all time. Orton cuts off the hot tag. Edge hits him with the DDT, and then Edge eventually makes the hot tag. And then Benoit runs wild on Randy Orton. He destroys Orton. He destroys Batista. And here's what I noticed about Chris Benoit. And this also goes for Eddie Guerrero, just because they're always grouped together when you have to talk about their deaths. It's so sad to me, just because if Benoit and Guerrero were born 10, 15, 20 years later than what they were, if Benoit and Guerrero were up-and-comers in today's era, my God, there would be no limit for them. You know what I mean? Unfortunately, they were born, they were born in the 70s, so they were, breaking into wrestling in, the early 90s, where size still did matter. And Benoit and Guerrero took steroids, at least as far as I know. What's sad about that is Benoit and Guerrero, and I just saw it here. And Benoit's had amazing 5-star matches that I've seen a million times, but I noticed it here on this Raw tag team match. Benoit is one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever seen. You know what I mean? He's absolutely phenomenal, and so is Eddie Guerrero. They were both absolutely phenomenal in the ring. And it's like, if they were alive today, who in the wrestling business, not just in WWE, in wrestling, would be better than Benoit or Guerrero? Like AJ Styles? I would argue that, I would say, I think both of them are probably better than AJ. You know what I mean? It's absolutely crazy just how good these guys were, and how unfortunate it is, because size no longer really has that much. Like, granted, there's always going to be size marks, but nowadays size is nowhere near as big as it was in, the glory days, like in the 70s and 80s. But even in the 90s, there still was a little bit of size. Like, you still kind of got a second, you got a little bit of someone kind of looked at you sideways if you were breaking into wrestling and you were under 6 feet tall. You know what I mean? There was still a little bit of a stigma. I just think because size is no longer a big priority now, Benoit and Guerrero could have had amazing careers in wrestling. Maybe not even just in WWE, like around the world. Like, think about all the people who are going to New Japan and ROH, and how everything's kind of indie wrestling's really taken a strong suit. Like, they could have gone everywhere. They could have been everywhere. They could have had great matches. I just feel so bad that wrestling was so, and also, no chair shots to the head. That would have probably saved Benoit's life. You know what I mean? Maybe the diving headbutt wouldn't have helped him, but not taking so many chair shots to the head probably would have helped him a lot more. He might have been alive. Who knows? But that's just my thing. When I was watching this match, I just realized how great of a wrestler Chris Benoit was. And maybe it's just not even just in a random World Tag Team match in the middle of Raw, he's giving it his all, and he's leaps and bounds above Batista, Orton, and Edge here. who are all three, credible wrestlers. You know what I mean? So eventually, once Benoit gets the hot tag, things really start picking up. Batista attempts a slam, Benoit counters, and Batista shoves him into the ref for a ref bump. Benoit hits the three Germans on Edge, while Edge and Batista are outside the ring. Benoit goes for the top rope headbutt, but he gets punched. Flair starts fucking with him, and then Benoit just kind of knocks him off. He goes for the diving headbutt. Orton has the gold. He has the Intercontinental Championship around his waist, so he just, knocks Benoit on the head with the title belt. He goes for the pin. It's a 2 count. The place goes crazy. Flair gets on the apron, and Edge spears him and Orton. Batista and Edge brawl on the outside again, and then Orton goes for the RKO, and Benoit's counters into the crossface. 3.25 stars. This was a very good match. The heat segment was a little bit boring, but the beginning and the end were very, very good. So, fair rating. Then we're backstage with Regal and Eugene. Regal tells Eugene that he needs to be a man and tells him to go out by himself. Regal begins to feel bad for the poor bugger, and then Eugene sings the Solfege system in preparation for his interview. So, Eugene interview. Todd Grisham introduces Eugene. Eugene's theme song is slightly less horrible than the theme song he had last week. It's a drastic improvement, even though I still think this theme song is kind of annoying. Anyway, immediately into the interview, Coach comes out, and I'll honestly say that Coach's theme music was actually worse than Eugene's current theme and the theme he had last week. So Coach comes out, and he just buries Todd Grisham. And, if you're getting buried by Jonathan Coachman, that's it for you. You are the biggest dork on the roster. So Coach tells Eugene that he's an embarrassment. He says he doesn't have any friends. He's the laughingstock of the company. He's like, you don't even have a girlfriend, do you? Have you even kissed a girl? It reminded me of Alexa Bliss telling Bayley she's never kissed a boy. Just stupid shit like that. So The Rock comes out after Eugene is told to leave. He's walking up the ramp, and The Rock's music hits. The place goes insane. Even Eugene starts marking out. So The Rock drags Eugene back to the ring. Rock says that Coach is a popcorn fart. And I was like, damn, was the PG era this early? And maybe the idea of it was The Rock didn't want to call him anything. He didn't want to use any profound language in front of Eugene, the poor innocent Eugene. But he did say ass in front of him. So, popcorn fart. I was like, that's really the best you can come up with. But granted, because The Rock is so great, because The Rock is so charismatic, he was able to get a whole arena of people to chant something as stupid as popcorn fart. Popcorn fart was one of the Cena insults, Fruity Pebbles and stuff like that. I guess that's the magic of Rock. He can take any insult and make it the better. And by the way, when I was watching The Rock, I was watching The Rock, I was watching how charismatic he was, I was watching how much he connected with the people, and it was just damn. I look at Donald Trump, and I'm like, I really wouldn't mind this guy being the president. Now, granted, I don't think Rock should run for president. I don't think he's going to, but I know that's been a story recently. And when you just look at the news and you look at Donald Trump, and you're just like, damn, maybe The Rock isn't all that bad. So Coach does a little bit of a rebuttal. He says the last time Rock was in a ring, he was losing in Madison Square Garden. Rock asks Coach if that's all he thinks of The Rock, and then Eugene says, it doesn't matter what you think, and he marks out in the middle of the ring like anyone would. I would mark out if I said that, if I had the opportunity to do that with The Rock. So then The Rock asks him a bunch of questions. This is the best part of the segment. The Rock's like, all right, now who is the most charismatic man in all of wrestling? And he was like, The Rock. And then he's like, who is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment? The Rock. Who is the people's champion? The Rock. And he's like, and who is your favorite wrestler? And then Eugene says, Triple H. And then he does the water spit pose. Phenomenal. The best part of this entire show. Because The Rock is so amazing. You can see the look of disappointment on his face. The smile immediately leaves his face. He looks right at Eugene, even probably gives him a little bit of an eyebrow. And then The Rock, and Coach is dying. He's laughing. And then The Rock, because The Rock is so great, he's able to whisper into the microphone. So it makes it sound like he's talking to Eugene one-on-one, even though the whole audience can hear. And he's like, whoa, Eugene. You can't embarrass The Rock like that. The Rock, we're friends here. So Eugene says he loves Triple H because he's like him. They both love to play games. And Rock says the only game Triple H likes to play is Hide the Strudel, which was an epic line. By the way, any mention of Strudel, he made solid eye contact with Lillian Garcia. Really, there was everything in this segment. The segment was the best part of Raw. So Rock says Eugene is going to whoop Coach's candy ass, and then Garrison Cade out of nowhere comes in and attacks Rock from behind. Eventually, Eugene and The Rock have a comeback. Rock hits a spine buster on the Coach. He goes for the people's elbow, but he allows Eugene to do it, and they celebrate in the end. So very, very good segment. Very, very funny. The Rock and Eugene worked very well together. It sets up Coach and Eugene for Bad Blood. Very good segment. So then we have our main event, Battle Royal. So Triple H comes out. It's a Battle Royal for the #1 contenders match at Bad Blood for Benoit's world title. Triple H comes out, and then he comes out to this, big ovation of boos. He's the top heel on Raw. And then the next person come out is Maven. Apparently, Maven has been injured. That's what JR was saying. He had like a shoulder injury or something. I can't remember if it was his shoulder, but some sort of injury. And he was coming back. It was his big comeback. Of course, no one cared because it's Maven. And then we had Jericho coming out, and then after the commercial, we had Benjamin, Kane, Edge, and then eventually all of Evolution enters. And then in a great visual, Evolution and all 4 of its members stand in one corner of the ring, and then all 16 other guys stand in the other corner of the ring, and they just all attack Evolution. So the first person out was Johnny Nitro after Kane just utterly killed him. We have a couple more eliminations. Kane eliminates Rosie, and then he tries to eliminate Hurricane, but Rosie catches Hurricane. It was kind of botched. I think he was supposed to just completely catch him, but Hurricane got tripped up. I think only 1 foot touch, so technically he didn't get eliminated, so it's not like they had to kind of improvise something. Technically, the save was still there, but it didn't look as good as it probably should have. So after the commercial break, we come back. Maven is trying to eliminate, who was it? It was some dude, maybe like one of the La Resistance guys. And then Triple H comes back and just dumps both of them. It's like, wow, Maven comes back, he gets his own entrance. Like, really, the top stars of Raw, you got Jericho, Triple H, Benjamin, Kane, Edge, and Evolution. Like, they got their entrances because they're the big names on Raw. But, Maven, let's be real here. Does he really need, one of those big entrances? They gave him the entrance because it's like, he's back with a vengeance. It's time for him to kick some ass, and then he just gets dumped by Triple H like he's a total nerd. And it's not like he even made it to the last bit of the match. He just got eliminated 3rd or 4th. You know what I mean? It was just completely embarrassing for him. So after the last commercial, we have 8 guys left: Jericho, Kane, Edge, Benjamin, and then all 4 members of Evolution. Flair is eliminated first when Jericho clotheslines him and dumps him out of the ring. Batista threw Jericho. Okay, this was a really awkward elimination, and it probably sucked for Jericho. What happened was Batista threw Jericho over the top rope, which sounds like your average, ordinary over-the-top rope elimination. The problem was, and I don't know if this was the idea behind it, or if Batista his sense of direction was just off, or Jericho's sense of direction was off, but he threw Jericho over the corner, over the ring post. So, and it's not like he threw him over a ring post that didn't have the steps. This was, the top left corner, if you're looking at it from the hard cam. Jericho lands knee first on the steel steps, and it's not like he had a graceful fall. This was a nasty fall. You could tell that it was not the way they wanted it to go. Jericho was all over the place. This was a horrible elimination. Jericho, it did not look like a fun fall for him. So they did the spot where Kane chokeslams everyone in the ring except for Batista. Him and Batista have a face-off. They go back and forth, and then Batista hits a spine buster on him. And then Edge, with a full head of steam, just comes at Batista, punches him a few times, and clotheslines him for the elimination. So Edge goes for Orton. Orton bridges him and then kicks him out to eliminate him. So that leaves us with the final 4 of Randy Orton, Shelton Benjamin, Kane, and Triple H. So Triple H and Orton try to eliminate Benjamin. He fights back. Triple H cuts him off. They try to eliminate him again, but no avail. Benjamin makes a comeback on all 3 guys. Benjamin eliminates Orton, and the crowd goes insane. Kane goes for a chokeslam on Benjamin, but Triple H from behind nut shots him. Then Triple H eliminates Shelton Benjamin, and then it's just Kane and Triple H in the ring. Triple H is like, "Oh, I got this," because Kane's, nursing his nuts, and he's like, "Oh God, my balls hurt," and stuff like that. So Triple H is all confident, and then all of a sudden, in the most awkward run-in ever, Shawn Michaels comes in and attacks Triple H. And this was a very awkward run-in, just because it's not like he came in, hit a sweet chin music, and dumped him out of the ring. It's like he just hit a few punches, and then Triple H Irish whipped him, and then Shawn Michaels just clotheslined him. It was really weird. And then afterwards, he dumps him over the ring. There's a little bit of silence, and then Kane's music hits, and then Shawn Michaels just kind of stands in the ring for a bit, and then he gets out in the ring on the wrong side, and then he just has to do a lap around the ring, and he laps around a Triple H who has to pretend he's unconscious, even though like a clothesline out of the ring, can that really be that incapacitating? So Shawn Michaels hops over the barricade, and Triple H just kind of looks at him for a bit. And the thing is, they never even pan to Kane. Kane is the winner of this match. You know, he is the main. He's going to face the world champion at Bad Blood. Now, obviously, this match was the main event, and it should have been the main event. But the thing is, you're not like I figured because it just kept showing camera cuts of like Shawn Michaels in the crowd telling Triple H like, "Oh, you were that close," and then Triple H was like screaming in the ring like, "Oh, fuck you," and stuff like that. I figured, okay, to add insult to injury, you know, Kane, like Triple H would turn around and Kane would give him a choke slam and do his pyro thing and be like, "Oh, there's your World Heavyweight Championship contender," and damn it, Shawn Michaels, you know, cost Triple H the match. So you were able to kind of highlight both of your main events there, but they didn't even pan to him. Like, sure, his music was playing in the background, but eventually it just switched off and went to Shawn Michaels' theme music. So it was clear. Now, granted, sure, you should push your main event, but if you're going to have if you're going to have you know, I feel like if you have a main event and then a world title match under it, you should still try and make them like a double main event. You shouldn't really try and put one over the other. Now, granted, this match was like 50 minutes, and like, sure, you need to put a lot of effort into it. And the build for this match is very good. And I think next week is going to be the week where, like Shawn Michaels and Triple H brawl in the parking lot. Like, I always loved that Raw, so I'm really looking forward to that. But overall, this was another really, really good Raw, despite the problems I have with the Battle Royal. Very, very good Raw. Very entertaining. The tag team title match and the Rock segment really kind of saved this match. And the Battle Royal, while the finish kind of frustrated me, it's really hard to like. Now, sure, battle royals are kind of suck. Like, you're never gonna really see like an amazing battle royal, but it's not really too hard for me to like say like, oh, I'm so bored watching this battle royal. You know what I mean? So overall, I really enjoyed this Raw. I don't think it was as good as last week's, but it's better than the 2003 Raws, so I'll give it that. So with that, I'm Jericholic8704, and I will see all of you guys later.